artists are talking, that would be great.
So do I mute mine? No.
Well, you can, or you can mute it and then unmute it when it's time for you to talk. If you, or
Okay,
if you're not comfortable with that, you could leave it on. Okay. Well, welcome to Moraga Art Gallery's virtual reception. We are celebrating the opening of our new show, Spaces Inside and Out. And as you probably know, the Moraga Art Gallery is a cooperative of 18 established local artists and artisans and 5 guest artists. Their work includes painting, sculpture, jewelry, printmaking, ceramics, textiles, handmade cards, photography, and woodworking. You can see on the screen sharing here a lovely panoramic view, 2 of them, of the gallery, which will give you a tantalizing look at our artists' work and encourage you to come and see it in person. All 18 artists are represented in every show. In addition, we have a special holiday boutique featuring many handmade items for gifts, and you will hear more about that shortly. We invite you to visit our gallery located at 432 Center Street in the Marine Shopping Center in Moraga. We're open noon to 3 p.m. Thursday through Sunday, and we observe all of the required protocol to keep our visitors and staff safe. Masks are required, social distancing, and hand sanitizer is available. Our new show at the gallery, Spaces Inside and Out, which runs through December 24th, features the work of member artists Debby Koonce and Angelica Samame. Debby Koonce is a plein air painter who draws inspiration from natural settings, reflecting the changing light of the day and season. Whether painting locally or while on travel, she is inspired by vistas, architecture, quaint alleyways, and parklands. And now here to share her work is Debby Koonce. So Debby, unmute.
Mute. Okay. Well, I am a plein air painter primarily. And so the work you see on the left-hand side is from on top of one of the hills overlooking Old Borges Ranch in Walnut Creek. And it was right after a storm, and it was just a beautiful, colorful day. The one on the right is a painting from a photo I took while in China. And these are the historical rice terraces of Weilin.
Okay, and our second featured artist, Angelica Samame, enjoys painting women in colorful and multifaceted ways. She has found that being quarantined has a silver lining since it has offered her the time and opportunity to experiment with new painting styles. And here is Angelica to share her work.
Okay, the painting on the left is called Friends. In this particular painting, I got inspired looking at a photo of of the Native American tribe in Arizona, the Hopi women. These women wore a hairstyle called the squash blossom, consisted of a band at either side of their head, and were only worn by unmarried women. There is a saying in the Spanish culture, that girl have birds in her head, which means she's imagining, daydreaming, or saying something absurd. This hairstyle was perfect for me to portray a girl with birds on her head. Also, this hairstyle, the double band, was worn by actress Carrie Fisher in her character Princess Leia in the movie Star Wars, filmed in 1976. And the next painting to the right is Tea Time. There is no better illustration to depict women interactions. Going out to meet a friend for tea or coffee and dessert. A time for communication, enjoyment, and relaxation. In this special time, meeting with that special friend, where we talk about anything, about life in general, about our adventures, our problems, our likes and dislikes. Thank you.
And now we're going to have a question and answer time with our featured artist, moderated by our member, Lynn Kang. Lynn is a painter, and she is also responsible for the lovely photographs of the gallery, which we have shared this evening. Lynn?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I just want to quickly explain how the Q&A will go. If you have a question, you can, if you put your mouse and wiggle it over the Zoom page, you'll see the bottom pop up and you'll see the icon that says chat. You can click on chat, and if you have a question, you can either write the question out on chat and I can read it out for one of the artists for you, or you can click chat and type the word stack, S-T-A-C-K. Sometimes if we're showing the artist's artwork and the images appear, I won't be able to see all your pretty faces on my screen. So if you try to raise your hand, I might not be able to see your hand raised. So it may be better to try to get my attention by clicking on chat. A screen will appear and then you can type stack, I'll call your name, or you can write whatever your questions are, and I'll read them aloud. So I'm gonna start the question, and I have a question that I like to ask Debbie. How do you go through the process of choosing the places that you want to paint? Are these spaces, do they hold special meaning for you, or do they suddenly speak to you at that moment in time? So how do you decide, what to paint?
Well, I am a lover of a beautiful view. And so that is my primary impetus for getting out. And I also love being out in nature. So being able to spend a day in a beautiful view, whether it's a courtyard or a wide composition, I feel alive on my canvas. I race against the sun and the shadows when I'm out, and it breaks me out of my need to be so perfect. And I really feel like my free spirit produces some very fresh images. So that is what I prefer. When I take pictures of travel, it is the same love of a beautiful view or a composition. And so that also drives me. But the whole application of doing a painting from a photo in studio is completely different. I'm not so much in the process. I'm always looking for perfection, and sometimes it is like mentally exhausting. And I'm learning that in these months of COVID, because I've done maybe a dozen paintings, and I realize how different the whole approach, my whole philosophy, my whole, when am I ever done? Which somehow I know when I'm done, and I know when I'm not done. Don't ask me how, but so that's what drives me.
Thank you. And Angelica, I have a question that I really want to ask you as well. What is the most difficult part for you in your painting process? What's you're thinking of what to do, paint? What is the most difficult part for you?
When do I need to see my painting that is finished? Which it seems like I never it never ends to that if I am happy with what I've been doing. And I remember the stories about painters in the Renaissance that they will sell their painting, but they will go and knock on the door to say that they still need to finish this part. And this happens to me too. I don't know when to stop. You just keep going and going, and you never know when to stop. So that's one of my.
So I have a question for Angelica. I love your use of color. What inspires your use of color?
Well, I come from my Peruvian heritage, has had a great impact on my art. Peru is a multicultural country with a long history of diversity, colorful art, and creativity. Yeah, it's mainly in Peru. I mean, the markets, the textiles, it's all bright colors. That's what I was raised with that, Yes.
I have a question for Angelica.
Yes?
Hello?
Hi,
Yes.
Joe.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yes.
I can
Can you
hear
hear
you.
me? Yes?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
My question to Angelica is your paintings have all kinds of so many interesting backgrounds and so on. And I'm wondering, how much do you prepare ahead of time? Do you do a sketch of your backgrounds, or you do a sketch of the whole painting before you actually start putting paint on canvas?
I just sit in front of the canvas and then I start putting things together. That's the way I paint. And then I keep adding a little bit at a time. If it goes with it, if not, I just go with the brush and cover it all over and start over again until I don't have any preconceived idea of what I'm going to paint. So like I said, I keep adding this and that, and it takes me a while to put it together. That's how I start, with nothing, how do I say, I don't have a preconceived idea, but it just keep adding a little at a time, and then that's how I get my paintings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How do you work, Debbie? Do you sketch on your canvas before you begin painting, or?
Well, I usually take my white canvas and put a coat of a reddish brown, a light reddish brown, so that the earth kind of comes through on in my painting. And then I just take that brush with a very dark blue, ultramarine blue, and I start sketching out my composition. And when I'm out doing plein air painting, I'm constantly seeing where the highlights are hitting and where the darkest shadows are hitting. And that kind of helps me get my composition to where I like it. But the shadows and the highlights change every 10 minutes. And so it becomes increasingly challenging. And that's why I can break out of myself and be freer to get the essence of the time.
Debbie.
Sometimes I have to go back the next day, and then I'll go back at exactly the same time from the day before, so that the shadows and the highlights are pretty much in the same spots. Then I can perfect them. Which
do you prefer more? I mean, painting in your studio from a photograph, or out plein air?
I prefer painting in the plein air, out in the beautiful location. That's what I prefer. But painting in studio is glorious. I get lost, none of my outside cares affect me during the time that I'm in my studio. And so it has its advantages.
Does that also somehow change your perspective of the landscapes? Do you think that influences how you paint as well, from outside in real life, or?
Well, I approach the canvas in studio pretty much the same way, except in studio I have the photographs, so the highlights are stuck in time. So I can spend as much time as I want, which sometimes is exhausting. But that I have the same approach. I outline things in that ultramarine blue, and I find that some of that blue comes through in the rest of the painting, and I kind of like that. And that's how I do it. I do the highlights and the shadows, and then I quickly go around and I fill in all the colors, the planes of different colors. Then I go into the details.
Very nice. Any other questions? Yes, Kay? Yeah, Kay, go ahead. You might want to unmute your
I just did. Debbie,
Yes.
the painting behind you of Half Dome.
Yes.
Did you do that plein air in the snow,
I
bundled
chose-
up like an Eskimo?
Yes, I chose this painting as an example of what I am willing to do with glee to capture a beautiful view. So yeah,
because
I had my boots on, I had my hot tea with a little brandy. And while my husband was watching the playoffs in January, I spent 3 hours out and very happy.
That's great.
It's my happy.
it looks like it was cold.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, it does.
And your feet were wet.
Well, I have very good boots.
Do you have any other questions? Yes, Rita, yes. You might want to unmute your microphone. There you go.
Yeah. So Debbie, do you ever go back to the same spot? For instance, the Half Dome scene in different seasons and paint them?
Well, I'm sure. In fact, I think one of our guests here tonight has a painting of Half Dome that I did from the ice rink one winter, but it wasn't a different season, but it was, you know, a different angle. I've been in Yosemite every season, so I have many paintings from all seasons. The fall colors are just phenomenal. Really, any time of year is so beautiful.
Do you edit a lot of, you know, like let's say the trees or the rock formations or whatever? How do you, you know, approach what to paint and what not?
Yeah, that's a good question. And yes, I use it, you know, the artistic license.
So there actually is a tree on the left.
For instance, Half Dome, where I was standing, Half Dome is actually further away and it's smaller, but I wanted it to be more significant. And so I made it a little larger. But everything else is pretty much the same. And then when I'm finished with my time outside, of course, I take lots of pictures. And then anything I might have to finish, I can finish in studio. But there have been times, like at the Eugene O'Neill Dow House, where I had a rather large canvas. I went back 2 days to the same spot, the same time of day to get the same highlights and shadows. So that helps.
I just have something here from Richard. Does Richard have a question for Angelica? I see it on the chat. No?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Angelica, your women have a certain look about them. When did you discover that look, and when did you decide that that was what you wanted to present to the world? If that makes any sense.
Okay. Let's see. I usually, well, all the women's I really make is I get inspired about life and then about experiences of everyday life, or about women. How do I say? women that are with their children. And it depends. I look at magazines or I look at other artists. And then like I said before, I keep adding or taking off, you know, and if I like it or not. And then I say, well, if she looks like I want to put a baby at the side or maybe some flowers, or it's just so easy to, you know, like art is therapy for me because you can just go with the brush and do and undo, you know, and that's how I do my art. Is just keep adding or taking out or putting this and that or just changing all of the time. It takes me a while. That's why it takes me a while, because it's just adding or subtracting, you know, that's what I do mainly with my art. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have any other questions? I also want to open it up so that if anyone has a question for our other artists here, it's a great time to kind of inquire about the other artwork that's also showing at the gallery. So anybody has questions for any other artists?
I have a question for you, Len. There's a painting on your screen to the right. Is that in progress or is that a finished painting?
This one right here?
Yes.
Oh, that one is finished. That one is finished, and I'm not sure if I had it at the gallery at any time, but that one is a finished piece that's there. Yeah.
Pretty.
Thank you.
And is it a permanent fixture in your room there, or is it going?
Oh no, I just put it there because it looked it needed a painting, and that's it.
It looks great.
So yeah, I don't really put any of my artwork up on the walls. I love you know, all the artwork from the different people I've met through the years. So hanging in my walls in my house are other people's artworks.
Lynn, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Lynn, how do you get inspired with your paintings? Where do you get your ideas?
What ideas? Well, just a very quick backstory. I'm half Vietnamese, and I was born in Vietnam. So, and my father, you know, was a U.S. Air Force and during the war and such. But I had, you know, I worked, you know, I became a teacher. I worked with children, and I got really inspired and with children, and you know, traveling abroad and working. I had this great opportunity to work at different orphanages abroad, and then something just kind of happened, you know, in this process of growth, that I really had this intense desire to paint children of Southeast Asian children that were affected by the war. I just felt like I really wanted to say something about them and paint about them and immortalize them and honor them and remember them. And so I take inspiration from images, not only images that I have in, you know, my photo albums of children, but just also, you know, children, images of children from refugee camps or that were affected by the war. And, you know, whatever photos that I find, usually they're not very good quality photos. So I have to kind of imagine a bit more. And there's a lot of times they're black and white. So I have to imagine, and I use my artistic license, and I dream of what they would look like if they were in front of us. And so I paint them just to immortalize them. And then I do a lot of backgrounds of acrylics and oils and water and paint thinners. And I just kind of, you know, become a chemist and see what something looks like on a canvas as a way of kind of washing away sorrows and connecting. So
very nice.
Any other questions? Yes, Lita?
Yeah, I have a question for Angelica. Do you connect with some of your ladies and not with others? Because I've noticed a difference. Some of them are connecting with the viewer and some are kind of standoffish.
Let's see. Can you say in other ways what exactly do you mean? I mean,
Okay, so for
okay.
example,
Yeah.
the lady in green with a red hat,
Yeah.
she sort of is waiting for something from the viewer.
Right.
The other ones, well, actually now I can't see their eyes. Okay, well, the one I was, not the ones that are looking at each other, there was another one that the eyes were sort of not really seeking to see somebody.
Oh.
They were more, no, too difficult.
I swear to God, I don't understand what exactly you're saying. It says they are not, they have a look that is not there or something like that, or is that what you're saying?
I feel that some of them are someone that you consider a friend and others that you consider an image in time. That's the feeling I get.
Yeah, well, it is. Well, some of them are friends or from family members or from magazines, or that's why there is the looks, or some is on my own creation that just came out, So it's just nothing, and it depends. And sometimes it's very hard to really have, how do I say, to put it together. That is, if I look that is almost okay, I will leave it there. I don't want to mess it up. So I just leave it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lita, I thought something similar to what your questions were for Angelica. Angelica, some of your paintings look like they're little snapshots of a split moment in time, whether you took a snapshot of two women having a conversation with each other, or you take a snapshot of a woman just sitting in a chair, with this very, subdued lighting, and she's almost like you've caught her in the middle of a thought. And so I was also wondering, do sometimes when you are painting these women, are you catching them in the middle of a thought, and what are you thinking about when you paint these women? Because you spend so much time with them because you're in front of the canvas, you end up growing an attachment to them. So is there something that you are thinking about as you paint each of the individual women?
Yeah, well, like I said, it depends of if they have a look that I don't like. I look at a magazine and see if I like the eyes of some person, or I look at the nose of some other in the magazine, and I try to put it together. And that's how, and sometimes it just comes naturally. I just do it and it comes out and it looks the way I want it. And so I do nothing. Sometimes, like I say, it's great. And sometimes I'm just having really problems working and trying to put it together. And sometimes it's just magic. Bang, 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 bang. So that's the way art is, I guess.
Shall we go ahead to the holiday boutique, Lynn, and introduce Judy?
Yes. So we'll take this time and let Judy Miller talk a little bit about our holiday boutique that we have at the gallery. Judy.
Okay. Well, as they just mentioned, this year we are having a holiday boutique. We have wonderful handmade items created by our own artists and several talented guest artists. They're all one-of-a-kind items. They're all handmade. We have jewelry, scarves, soap, beautifully wrapped soap, wooden bowls, glass vases, trivets, jewelry cases. Let's see what else. Serving pieces, ceramics, and well, you're just going to have to come and see for yourself. There's just a lot of nice gift items, and so we're hoping people will find a special gift for special people, and while they're looking at the rest of their artwork in the gallery, they can have that time to do a little gift shopping. So that's what it's about.
As we conclude, Carla, do you have the pictures of the gift of the boutique that we can share?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was thinking I was sharing it the whole time and I wasn't. So sorry.
There we go. Okay. So that'll give you an idea of what Judy was talking about, some of the wonderful items we have in the holiday boutique on sale for the holidays here. And we thank you for joining us for our virtual reception, and we hope you'll visit us, both the gallery and the boutique. Again, we're open Thursday through Sunday, noon to 3, through December 24th. And again, we've taken all precautions to make sure that everybody is safe when they come. And we hope you'll come see us. And it was just a wonderful discussion tonight. I just was so enjoyed hearing the artists talk about their work and all the wonderful questions, and just so nice to have everybody join us. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Richard.
Joining.
Bye-bye.